Greetings to all from Chandigarh. I am Ramanjit Johal, co-investigator Tigris project and the project lead at Punjab University, where the development research work was done by an interdisciplinary team of social scientists and nutrition and skills specialists on flagship 6 of the Tigris project, that is, impacting well-being in rural communities. It is my privilege to present the specific aspects of the team's work related to crop diversification, knowledge sharing with rural communities in Punjab, India. Crop diversification is the practice of adding more crops or plants to the cropping system, which increases the agricultural production of a field. It has many benefits. It increases opportunities for farmers regarding value addition and food processing. It allows for better risk management and positively affects the economic well-being of farmers. It is important to acknowledge the role of rural communities in sustaining the economy of a country. This was indeed exemplified during the COVID-19 pandemic lockdowns, when the only sector of the economy that posted positive growth was agriculture. In Punjab, we have seen drastically reduced diversification trends post-Green Revolution, that is 1966-67, when the land area under diversified cropping was 54.54%. This reduced drastically to 9.87% in 2014-15, and at that time, the area under wheat and rice came up to 90.1%. At the outset, it is important to relate the idea of crop diversification with the concepts of demand and supply in an economic system to evaluate awareness building from a 360 degrees perspective, which implies that the role of all stakeholders such as producers, consumers, support agencies, policymakers, and academicians must be taken into account for a holistic approach. The objectives of the team's research included understanding the existing consciousness about diversified nutrition, sensitization about a healthy diet, establishing the practice of growing nutrition kitchen gardens, developing and advocating the introduction of a basic nutrition curriculum, knowledge sharing about various practices that promote crop diversification, as well as about various arrangements and practices that contribute to value addition of diverse crops. A mixed methodology was adopted, wherein surveys were conducted, mapping of villages was done, case studies were documented, and action interventions were undertaken using the theory of change. Data collection tools were designed to suit these. Crop diversification is dependent on both consumers who drive the demand and producers who grow the food to meet the demand. Both need to be cognizant of and committed to the critical aspects of nutrition and sustainability. Looking at consumers, the team approached them in the community as individuals and through collectives of youth clubs, women's service groups, self-help groups. They were also approached through organizations. Students and teachers were approached through schools, young professionals and trainees in the food and hospitality industry, as well as young men and women skills trainees were approached in government and NGO-run skill training programs. The team worked with the community in setting up kitchen gardens, which is an intrinsic part of Punjab's culture. Winter vegetables were sown in schools and households in 2 villages, Pandwala and Bagh Sikandar. Knowledge sharing was done by covering the nutritional aspects, the operational aspects, as well as the commercial aspects. And this really caught the imagination of the participants. Knowledge sharing was further done with interactions and activities with village youth clubs and women's groups in these 2 villages of Bagh Sikandar and Pandwala. The nutrition intervention, which was undertaken with skilled trainees, was over a 10-week period where weekly workshops were held, and using the KAP format, the baseline knowledge, attitude and practices, and the feedback was documented in every session. The activities included live demonstrations, experience sharing, and competitions, and we can see how the students developed their own recipes. A protein-rich recipe is demonstrated here. Nutrition awareness activities were carried out with organizations, as mentioned earlier, through the food and hospitality industry, in schools, with NGOs, with the government departments, to create aware consumers entering the workforce and budding professionals in the food and hospitality industry. Also to effect behavioral change towards food consumption and to drive the demand for diversified foods. The outcomes of the demand side intervention with nature and environment was established with the students. Their knowledge regarding nutritional aspects of vegetables was enhanced. Behavioral change and awareness was seen while conducting activities with them. And with the first-hand experience of growing food came awareness and ownership, connecting the garden to the plate. And they were extremely interested in how what they grew found way to their midday meal served in the schools. With the skilled trainees, there were notable changes in their daily eating habits. They shed unscientific taboos about food items. They were confident to disseminate knowledge to friends and families. The recipe book prepared for them was used with their friends and family members also. And there was increased awareness about reading of labels on packaged food items when they purchased processed food in the market. Interestingly, there was additionally capacity building of the host organization, staff, and trainees. Looking at the producers, the supply side, when sharing knowledge there, we could differentiate between producers, farmers who were producing for self-consumption and those who were producing for the market. It was very apparent that when self-consumption was concerned, crop diversification and sustainable practices were heeded, whereas for commercial production, these were the exception rather than the norm. The team had conducted an extensive farm assessment survey across 3 agroclimatic zones of Punjab. The preliminary findings on crop diversification indicate that crop diversification is low, as most farmers cultivate according to market trends and what will be procured at the declared minimum support price. More diversification was seen in the Kharif season in favor of cash crops. There was diversification to vegetable cultivation in response to demand closer to urban areas. Also, where the water table was low and inadequate for paddy cultivation, there was a switch out from that. Some diversification towards cultivation of medicinal plants, spices, and fruits was also seen. How can crop diversification increase? What do the farmers say about this? What came across in interviews and focus group discussions was that they universally believed that they needed better institutional support for updated expertise and training. They need arrangements for hiring appropriate machinery for processing, preservation, and value addition. They also talked about some practices to promote crop diversification, notably vocal for local, where changing consumer attitudes towards buying local foods by building trust in the local farmer was stressed. They talked about community farming, wherein farmers are adopted by local families, the family farmer, and there is a sustained demand and supply chain. A lot of learnings have come from the field in the white, blue, yellow, and green areas of farming. And some of the ones documented are the practice of pig farming, fish tourism, use of colored fly traps for pest control, use of cultivation of yellow flowers to attract birds and flies, vermicomposting, and value addition with food processing, which was done by individuals as well as collectives. Further, we saw the working of a cooperative society that produced nutritious processed organic food products, employing local people, 80% of them women, and dedicating a part of its revenues to supporting social welfare in the region. It is also running missions for nutritious plantations, moringa, and agroforestry like bamboo. The Khalis Collective has its member farmers grow different crops according to consumers' demand and sell collectively through a well located retail outlet. We have the collective farming model, wherein collective production by member farmers was for member families. The gaps on the producers or the supply side were seen at both institutional and individual levels. At the institutional level, shortage of staff compromised extension work. There were gaps in expertise and training on diversification and processing. There was inadequate support for pest management, inadequate laboratory support for soil testing and quality check of produce. An MSV for crops to which diversification is recommended has not been implemented. The individuals do not find a support system for expert inputs, processing, and marketing. There were negligible number of farmers engaged in food processing and value addition, and risk-taking capacity was found to be limited for various reasons. Another important question that came to us was that does crop diversification always lead to sustainability? We, in fact, recorded unsustainable agroforestry practices like that of growing poplar trees. Unsustainable, purely commercial, drawing huge amounts of groundwater, an already much depleted resource in Punjab. Thus, the guiding principle of the evergreen revolution, the term coined by Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, where short and long-term goals of agricultural production are not mutually antagonistic, should be at the heart of all agricultural practices, including diversification choices. The use of ICT for enhancing crop diversification among rural communities is much touted, as ICT is seen to be the panacea for all ills. Well, while it is the imperative, it is not sufficient, as deeper structural problems have to be addressed to universalize sustainable and diversified agriculture. The team, through its various interventions and surveys, has highlighted some policy inputs targeted for the demand side as well as the supply side of crop diversification. Sustained social marketing of healthy eating and diversified food production is seen to be important. School nutrition and agriculture curricula should be made activity-based for effectiveness. A basic nutrition curriculum must be introduced as a compulsory element for all skills trainees at government, private, and institutions and NGOs. Nutritious cooking must be introduced as a full-fledged skills training course. Going on to the supply side, the Agriculture Department's portal should have complete information on government schemes, officials, facilities, and links to concerned departments. Databases on latest technologies, experts, as well as other relevant updated data on agriculture must be available here. Farmers and collectives must be encouraged to develop seed banks. Machinery banks must be set up at the Krishi Vigyan Kendras of the Agriculture University and with farmer collectives. Having access to processing and preservation facilities would motivate diversification to pulses, millets, fruits, and vegetables. The field institution of the agriculture extension worker must be revitalized. He should be equipped to link the farmers with knowledge of government schemes, latest trends in sustainable agriculture, and handhold the transition. A support consultancy setup must be created for farmers to establish collectives like self-help groups, cooperatives, and farmer-producer companies or farmer-producer organizations, as they're also known, as also to troubleshoot problems in running and managing them. Thank you.